Hello everyone, this is Ramasami from second year IT. In this video, I'm going to present explanation and execution of the code for a problem statement given in RECode 3. This video consists of 4 topics: understanding the question, approaching method, code explanation and execution, and finally summarize. The first part is understanding the question. The main thing in solving a problem in coding is decoding the question or understanding the question properly. Here, the question is whether the given word is present in a grid or not. And the conditions are the grid, the letters must be adjacent cells of each other, whether it is horizontal or vertical neighbor, not diagonally. Let's consider an example. This is a grid of 3 rows and 4 columns. And these are the elements of the rows. And this word is needed to find whether it is inside this grid or not. Here, the output is true because this word is present inside the grid. And it counts only the adjacent cells because A is adjacent to B and B is adjacent to C, and like that the cells are adjacent to each other. Here A and F is not adjacent because it is diagonal. So to conclude, the question asks us to find whether a given word is present inside the grid or not in adjacent cells. The third part is how to approach our algorithm. Find whether the first word is in grid by traversing the entire list. Let's consider this 3 cross 4 grid as an example. If we have to find CCF is present in this grid or not, we have to traverse one by one. 1, 2, 3. And in our third step, we will get C, first word of our letter. The second step is get the position of it. Here the position of C is 0, 2. And the next step is check the nearest neighbor. So here the nearest neighbors of C are B, C, and E. If the second letter matches these 3 words, then the next step is repeat 2 and 3. Get the position of it and check the nearest neighbor. Here the second word matches the C, so we have to get the position of C and check the nearest neighbors of C. Here there are 3 neighbors near C. We can't count this C because it is already used. Here this condition is not checked because the nearest neighbor is the second word of the word. Here F matches the next letter of the word we have to find. So in this grid CCF is present. By this method we have to approach this problem. What is this algorithm? We have to find is CSE. The first step is same. We have to traverse it and find C and get the position of C, the nearest neighbors of C. And the second letter of the word we have to find is S, and S is not a neighbor of C. So we set the flag as false and break the loop. These are some possibilities of neighboring cells of a cell. For example, if a letter is in a top left, then there is only 2 possibilities. Like that, if it is in top right, there are only 2 possible neighbors, and we doesn't consider diagonals as an adjacent cells. So if the letter is in bottom left, then there is also 2 possibilities of a neighboring cells. Like that, in bottom right, it also has 2 possibilities. And if the letter is present in a left side of a grid, then there is 3 possibilities: top, bottom, and its opposite side of it. And also, if a letter is present in top or bottom, there is also 3 possibilities. If a letter is present in center, then there must be 4 possibilities. These possibilities may vary if a letter is already used. The next part is the coding part. This is a start of a loop. And this block is to get an input from a user, and I set a flag as false defaultly and I value as 0. This I is used to slice the string, which is to be checked whether it is inside the grid or not. And this block is to find the first element of the word which is inside the grid or not. And if a element is present inside this grid, then I get a index of that element in A and B and make the flag as true. Also increment I by 1 so that it will take the next letter of the word, and I append the position in a tuple in an empty list called already so that I can avoid the repetition of the cells which was taken. Loop will only run if the first element is found. If a first element is found, then I will be incremented to 1. So it is not possible whether the first element is not present in a grid and then other elements are present in the grid. So if only the I is greater than 0, it will enter into the loop and the I must be less than length of S. Then only it won't run the loop unnecessarily. So this block is to find if a letter is in the top left corner. So only the conditions are A is equal to 0 and B is equal to 0. This will check if the letter is present in the top left corner. If yes, then it will check the this cell and this cell. If the next element is present in this cell, it will increment the row value or get that exact position of that cell and increment the I value by 1 and also append the position of that in already a list, and it will continue to the next letter of the word. So this will check whether that cell is already used or not. I will explain another one, and all the others are same as that. First element is A is equal to R minus 1 and B is equal to 0. This will point to the bottom left corner, this cell. If the first letter is in this cell, then it will check the neighboring cells, this S and D. If the next letter of the word is present in these two cells, then it will get the position of these cells and increment the I value by 1 and append the position of the cell in a list called already. And here also it will check whether this cell is already used or not. And if the two neighboring cells is not a next word of the letter, then it make the flag variable as false and break the loop, print the false statement. And also, if it is in a left side, not in the left corner and bottom left corner, whether it's in between these top left and the bottom left, then it must have three conditions to check. Here is the three conditions, and it also same as the previous one. This part will check this cell and this part will check this cell and this part will check this cell. If the next letter of the word is present in these three cells, then it will get the position of that cell and increment the I value by 1 and also upon the position in a list called already. These all conditions are happen only after it checked whether the position is already used or not, or that cell is already used or not. If these three cells are not the next word of a next letter of a word, then it will make the flag variable as false and break the loop. Now you guys may have a question. If there is a two same letters and the second letter will only have a adjacent cells that matching the word they are given. Consider ADE is the here ADE is the word we have to find and not ABCCED. So it will first take A as a first cell because A is also present in ADE, and check whether B and S is equal to D. If not, then it will exit this loop and go inside this loop. And again, it will check the remaining part of this grid and take this A as a one cell for the first letter and check the adjacent D and checks the adjacent E and returns true because AD is present in this grid. These are the other possibilities. Whether it is top right corner, whether it is top right corner, then these two will be the adjacent cells and the condition for these two cells is given. And also, if it is in bottom left, bottom right corner, then these two cells must be checked. And if it is in top side, whether not in a left corner or in a right corner, it is in a top side, then there must be three possibilities: left, right, and then bottom. Like that, if it is in bottom side, then it must be have three possibilities: top, left, and right. This will be easy understand if you refer these slides. And if it is in right side, then there must be a possibilities of top, bottom, and left cells to be adjacent. And if it is in center part, we have four possibilities: top, left, right, and bottom. And this will always check whether the cell is already used or not. This I will incremented by 1 every time when the letter is found so that we won't run the loop unnecessarily. And after traversing all these, if the flag variable is false, then it must print false. And if a flag variable is true, then it must print true. Let's compile this code. These are the test cases for that code. In this grid, ABCCED is present or not. For the first one, ABCCED is present and the output is true. The second word we have found is ABCB. A, B, and C. B is not an adjacent, but here is an adjacent, but this cell is already used. So it will check these two cells and B is not adjacent. So it will print false. You can see the 6 test cases were successfully compiled and we get a success message. We will also check by giving a custom input. So we will give the 3 cross 3 matrix and the elements of the first row as A, B, C, second row as D, E, F, and the third row as G, H, I. The word to be checked whether it is in grid or not is H, I, and F. So this must return true because H and I and F are adjacent cells. Because it is adjacent cells, the code gives a true message. Also for the false condition, I am giving 3 cross 3 matrix and the inputs is ABC for the first row and EFG for the second row and FGK for the third row, and the word to be checked whether it is in grid or not to be A, B, and G. Here it is not possible for ABG to be a word in a grid because AB and the G is in diagonal, so it doesn't count as an adjacent. So if I compile it, I'm getting a output as false because ABG is not in a grid. Let's summarize the presentation. The main thing is we have to find whether a word is present inside a grid or not. And if a word is present in a grid, we have to traverse it by taking a single letter in the word and find the first letter and find the adjacent letters by taking the next letters of the word. If all the letters are present in adjacent cells, then it must return true as a output. Otherwise, the flag variable becomes false and the output will be false. In this code, I only use if else statement and elif statement, and it is very simple to understand. If you have any doubts, just email this mail ID. And thank you for the patience and watching till the end of the video.